Don't scroll on. The devil doesn't want you to see this video. You see, the parable of Jesus, when he's talking about the two trees, the one tree that bears good fruit and is a healthy tree, and the other tree that bears bad fruit. And anything that comes off the good fruit tree and the seeds that come from it are going to produce good fruit coming forth. And the stuff off the bad tree is going to produce bad fruit because everything yields according to its kind. And let's combine that with another verse. The golden rule that Jesus taught us. Love your neighbor as you love yourself. Now, let's take Christian teaching, at least the Christian teaching that I was given. I was worthless. I was no good. Any action I would do, especially any action to God, would be like offering him up dirty rags. That I was insignificant. I did not deserve love. My heart, my intent, my physical being was prone to do evil in this world, to commit all sorts of crimes and atrocities, to want to harm other individuals and everyone else, including myself, because I was a wicked, decrepit individual. And only because of the love of God coming into my life was I able to get some of that taken away. But if I were to step out of that umbrella, I would immediately go back to my sinful ways and be an evil, decrepit man lurking around the world causing all sorts of harm, because that is what my fleshly heart would want. That is my desire. That's where I want to go. That is the fruit that I would yield because I'm this evil person. And we're taught that. And what comes from that and the trauma and the psychological influence of that is we are insignificant. We're no good. We're awful people. Now, if I take that teaching and apply it to the golden rule, I don't love myself in that teaching. I despise myself. And I remember saying prayers. I remember begging for forgiveness for my fleshly ways of the evil that I was committing because I didn't treat my children in the utmost loving way I did that day, or I didn't respect my wife in the way she needed to be respected that day. And these evil atrocities were going to keep me separated from God. And I didn't want that because I was listening to my fleshly heart, because I truly believed that deep down I was an awful person, just unable to accept God's love because, well, I could accept it, but I was undeserving of God's love because of how awful I was. And this is how I thought. I never truly could love myself. So when I go and take that out to my neighbor, what's going to come out? It's going to be coming out what's judgment of me. I know myself to be awful and evil, so my neighbor is going to be awful and evil. I need to judge my neighbor as harshly as I judge myself. I need to cast condemnation and scourge them and point them to the way to kind of clean that up a little bit. That's why we have Christian nationalists today that act the way they do, because they are following the golden rule. They're loving everyone else like they love themselves, which is a lack of love. They hate themselves. They hate their beings because they're taught to hate themselves and hate their beings, all the way up to the top. The top doesn't necessarily do this because they love themselves a little too much, collecting all the tithe offerings and pocketing what they need and living lavishly off the land and not really feeling bad about it and justifying it in their own means that they're doing the Lord's work and saving all these souls and leading them to God. So they should reap in some of the benefits. They have a little bit of self-love, but they're not sharing it with their community. The people that are doing the foot soldier work truly don't care for themselves. They don't appreciate themselves. They don't know how to love self. And that shows in how they treat others. And that's why we have these people that come out against the LGBT community, that come out against immigrants in our country, that come out against anything that isn't Christian education, because they need to force this on other people to show the light. They are showing who they are and how much they love themselves. They despise themselves. If they could just find an inkling inside themselves and understand that truly, if they could accept who they are and what they are and love their own eternal being, they could love everyone else just the same. We wouldn't have these issues anymore. And it's just something I thought of today, is that I can't get mad at them because they are following the golden rule. They're following their book. They're listening to what they're saying. They are loving their neighbor as much as they love their own selves, which is full of hate, spite, and anger towards themselves. They push that on others. Just something to think about.